Here at the Melanin Initiative, we simplify medical information into language you can understand. We create a safe space to ask your questions and share our nursing perspective. Today, we're delighted to be speaking to our special guest, Jasmine Cofield, a physician associate, co-founder, and executive director of the PAC, Physician Assistants of Color. If you're new here, welcome to the Melanin Initiative. I'm Dr. Kimberly Madison, a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner and one of your co-hosts here at the Melanin Initiative, along with Alicia and Geraldine, who send their love in their absence. We're a health literacy podcast. When we say health literacy, we're talking about your ability to obtain information, to understand that information, and then to use it, to manage your health and advocate for others. It's our hope that by watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or listening to any of your favorite podcast apps, that you'll be empowered to ask questions, educated on how you can manage your health, and confident to navigate the healthcare system. We have two missions here. The first, to promote health literacy. The second is to elevate the expertise of nurses, bring awareness to all the career options in the healthcare industry, and inform our peers of how they can leverage their expertise as clinicians and entrepreneurs, as Jasmine's going to demonstrate with us today. If you haven't already, this is your chance to subscribe. Leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, share this information. Every time you engage with our content like that, it shows the algorithm that this information is important, so that when people like you look for topics like this, we show up higher in the search results. Remember, this show is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed here are our opinions alone. They are not a representation of any of our affiliations. If you think you might be having a medical emergency, you should seek medical attention and medical guidance from your healthcare provider. If you think you might be having a physical emergency, you can call 911. If you or someone you know might be having a mental health emergency, you can call 988 or text 741-741. Now, let me tell you about Jasmine. She's a board-certified physician associate and expertise in psychiatry, family medicine, and urgent care. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. She is also the co-founder and executive director of Physician Assistants of Color, better known as the PAC, a groundbreaking organization dedicated to diversifying the PA profession. Her story, it's inspiring. After facing dismissal from PA school, Jasmine turned a challenge into an opportunity. She created the PAC as a source of support for herself, and it's grown into one of the largest platforms for aspiring and current PAs of color. With a mission rooted in mentorship, awareness, and networking, Jasmine and the PAC are changing the face of healthcare to ensure providers reflect the communities they serve. Jasmine doesn't just talk about impact, she makes it. She's a dedicated advocate for DEI in healthcare, a mentor to countless students and professionals, and a shining example of resilience and leadership. Today, we're diving into some big topics: the importance of representation in medicine, supporting healthcare providers' mental wellness, and what it takes to lead with purpose in this space. So grab your pen and paper, because Jasmine is about to drop some serious gems. Jasmine, welcome to the Melanin Initiative.
Wow, Dr. Madison, thank you so much. That was an amazing intro, bio, everything. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we have to give you the credit. You earned those flowers.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So we're going to play a little icebreaker game so we can get to know you before we jump into our topic,
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
We have about 5 questions that we can get through in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
The first one, my favorite, what's the best thing that never happened to you?
The best thing that never happened to me. Oh, funny. Um, when I was transitioning from my first job, I had the job that I thought I was going to take fell through 5 days before my first day of employment, and I had been waiting on it for 2 months, and it led me to the current position I'm in now, and I couldn't have asked for a better opportunity. So that is the best thing that ever happened to me.
I love it, because sometimes we wait or pray for something, for the doors to open, and then they don't. And examples like yours show that sometimes doors close for a reason.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. And um yeah, it makes me emotional. So yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Yes.
Okay, next question. What's one thing you were certain you'd never do, but now you can't imagine your life without it?
Honestly, so going through undergraduate, I always saw the hard work that went into entrepreneurship. I knew that owning a business, that you were basically deciding to take on all aspects of it, all liabilities of it, and I knew that it may not have been worth it. So I knew I was never going to go into entrepreneurship. I never understood people who went into medicine and got a business degree, and here I am running an organization. So,
Wonderful. Okay, next question. You lose everything and you have to start over tomorrow with just $100. What do you do with it?
whew, I'm probably going to use it on gas and food, and yeah, I'll probably just take care of my basic needs. Gas, I'm saying, 'cause I'm assuming I'm going to work the next day. I need to.
Uh, okay. One entrepreneurial myth that you believed that held you back.
That you needed a lot of money to start.
Mm,
Yes, I thought that was going to be a limiting factor, but I focused on making a smaller impact. I focused on doing what I could with what I had, and understanding that it will come if the work is there.
I agree. You're invited to give a TED Talk. What would you talk about?
Ooh, I will really talk. I love concepts like nature versus nurture. I think that has a really huge impact on how we are and who we become. And I think if people had a better pulse on that, they could have more ownership on the way their life goes.
I love these answers.
You.
And the last one, now it's your turn. Who would you like to give their flowers to?
You know what? I would like to give it to my mom this week. She's had such a hard week.
Mm,
We lost our grandmother. She lost her mother.
mm,
But I attribute all of my desire to just want to be better, doing more, hard work, staying dedicated to something to her. That quality was instilled in me when I was playing basketball. She never let me miss a day of practice. She never let me miss a day of anything that would bring some improvement to my skill set. And then after every game, I would have to watch my game. So I think that is what helped this determination and resiliency, and then more importantly, accountability, which is a theme I look forward to talking about later
mm.
on.
What a great transition. We extend our condolences to you and your family. Loss is never easy. That void will never be filled. But we're so grateful that you had the opportunity to spend some of your life with her. And we're confident that you're going to continue her legacy and you're going to keep her memory alive every single day that you get the opportunity.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Let's start with your story, Jasmine. What inspired you to pursue a career as a physician associate, and how did that lead you to psychiatry?
Thank you. So, um, I always knew I wanted to go into medicine since I was like in middle school. I always loved helping people, children specifically. I didn't know my realm in education, so I'm like, to work with kids and to help them, I would have to be a doctor. And of course, that was back in 2008, 2009 to when I declared that. And at the time, I luckily had a we call it focus teacher, but there's essentially like your homeroom teacher. And she introduced me to the idea of she was like, well, why don't you consider a PA, physician assistant role? And I was like, I never heard of that. And I was a self starter already by then. So I went home that day and researched it and loved the idea of it. The length of school, the flexibility, being able to practice in multiple settings. I knew kids were my focus, but I also knew that I had a lot of interests. So it just appealed to me. I coincidentally was attending an early college in high school, so that allowed a lot of high school students to dual enroll college classes while you were also getting your high school diploma. So once I made that decision to pursue the PA profession, I started taking the prerequisites for it as early as the 10th and 11th grade. Went off to Central Michigan University. I had this plan all planned out. I went off to my undergrad after I graduated and finished the rest of my courses and applied to 4 programs in 2016 and got into one. University of Detroit Mercy, and that's what led me to the PA profession. I was lucky enough and blessed enough to have a high school teacher tell me about the profession, and I just took it from there.
And so tell us how your journey went at that first school.
Yeah, so I would say up until going to PA school, I had um, a really successful academic career. I graduated high school with 3 associate degrees. I left that college earning the Phil Brown Award, which is awarded to the highest college graduate, and that year a high school student earned it. And then I went to Central Michigan, studied neuroscience. I minored in psychology. I graduated with summa cum laude honors. So this was a student entering PA school who had never even received less than an A minus in any college course. So when I got to PA school, it was really a culture shock. It was the amount of information you're learning, the speed you're learning it at. You got to remember you're declaring to go to school, and most PA programs are 2 years long. So you're learning essentially what 2 years of medicine would be in 1 year, and then you're going on rotations for 1 year, and then you're practicing. So in order to have that comprehensive education, it was fast, a lot, and I was not used to that studying at that capacity. um I would even argue that I probably, now that I look back, like I probably wasn't used to studying. um
Mm.
so I struggled, and the hard part about it was I silently struggled. That was the mistake that I made, but I feared that my classmates would judge me. I feared that I would let the professors who accepted me into the program down. It was just a whirlwind of emotions. And on top of that, even coming to terms with the fact that I was struggling. Again, I had a successful academic career up until this point. So, um, unfortunately, when I finally told a classmate, it was 2 weeks left of the semester, and I pretty much had to have a perfect exam to pass, and I didn't. So, unfortunately, the program dismissed me under the grounds that I did not receive a B minus in one of those courses. So that was really hard to deal with. Again, never even experiencing less than A minus to being dismissed from a program and essentially a career that you had your eyes set on for, at this point now, it was like 10 years, or I would say, yeah, 14 to, I was like 21, 22 at the time. So, um, to me, I was grieving. I lost a dream. So, luckily enough, my program graciously let me back in. I had to go through the appeal process. I had to present to them and let them know what went wrong, what I plan on doing differently. Before all of that, though, I had already enrolled myself in like a pharmacology. It was pharmacology, the course that did it for me. But I enrolled into a pharmacy tech course so I can learn how to become a pharmacist, like, really getting engaged with that medication and the terminology, and just learning what I didn't learn throughout that time. And then right before I returned, I took some accountability. I had to reflect on what went wrong, and I couldn't help but think about that time where I waited so long to let someone know. And I'm like, well, why are you waiting so long? And I knew it was because I felt embarrassed, and, all this imposter syndrome was coming up. So I'm like, you know what? You're going to have support. If you don't trust that it will be in your cohort, go ahead and seek that out yourself. And at the time, I knew about two other Black PA students, one in Atlanta, another one in Florida, and I reached out to them. Said, hey, I have this idea. Let's form this group me. I know you're in your programs, probably one or two of Black students in your cohorts of 40, 50, and 60. That can be intimidating. So they said yes without a doubt. And this is where how the pack started. Started off as a small group me, originally intended for PA students to support the current PA students in our respective cohorts. But then we just started seeing so many pain points that students of color were facing, particularly with the application process. So students would reach out to me and ask for help. And now mind you, I'm back in my program now, and this is, I'm on probation because I'm coming from a dismissal, but it was something that led me to, like, no, these students need help, even though I needed the help. But I spent quite some time originally focusing on helping these students get on track and submitting a competitive application.
Thank you so much for sharing that. If we have any nursing students, med students, or PA students who are facing dismissal or facing the need to withdraw, what's one of the first things they should do?
Oh, absolutely. So I honestly, my advice to any of my mentees is when they get accepted into a program to read their remediation process. It's usually in the student handbook by the university, and like have the clear written out process so you are aware of it. Hopefully you never have to use it, but if that's something that you are made aware of, that's some great information to know, so you can know like what's considered failing, what's the next step if you don't pass something, if there's even an appeal process, what's the hierarchy of, like, do you go to your program director, then the dean, and then, so there's so many angles that you can take from just reading that remediation policy in that student handbook. So that's the first step. The second step is, God forbid, but if you are facing dismissal or you're on probation, I would first, if the program is suggesting that you take a leave of absence and you are guaranteed to come back, I would heavily consider that. The students who come to me when they were offered that opportunity but didn't take it, because you know how that goes, like, no, I'm gonna push through, I'm gonna get it together, and then sometimes people take that as giving up on themselves. But I think it's a program that historically sees what students don't make it and who makes it. And if they can kind of track that early on and tell you to take this leave of absence before you don't have the opportunity to return, then I would strongly consider it. Maybe call your mentor to see what their advice is. And as long as you're able to return, sometimes that mental break is what you really need. That break from that program is what you really need. When I got dismissed, oh, so much. I mean, after I realized I was able to come back in, it's so much weight lifted off my shoulders. So I would say strongly consider that. And that will be taken into consideration if you wind up getting dismissed. I've seen programs come back and say, we've offered you the opportunity to leave before you had this on your before you really had no other opportunity. So I would say strongly consider that. And then third thing, start implementing the remediation process, right? See where you stand in that process. If you have to retake exams, if you have to meet with somebody, if you have to talk to somebody, I would start getting those things in order right then and there. And lastly, what you can do on your end is, if something isn't working, if you're not passing your exams, it means something you're doing is not working. So a lot of people, like myself, for example, we will continue on struggling, and then get to the end of the semester and try to change things up, and it's too late. So I would say also during that time too, engage with your professors. A lot of us, when we fail, that's the time we want to hide from our professors, but no, this is where you want to show your face. They need to see that you want this. They need to see that you are invested in your education as much as they are. So I think when you do those things, you will have better success with navigating that process.
Thank you. I agree. I had a very similar experience, had great success in grad school, got to college, and really struggled because it's different. It's a different strategy that's required, right? One, I didn't have a strategy because in high school, they give you one, right? You kind of have the same thing over and over, like a lot of repetition, homework, quizzes, multiple exams before you get a grade. And then you move on and you start over and build your grade again. But in college, you don't get that opportunity. You might get 2 or 3 exams and that's it. So I also suffered in silence thinking, oh, but I'm going to make it up on the next exam. Yeah, there's only one
More.
left. and there's no room to make it up. And then unfortunately, once your grade starts, your GPA starts going down, it takes twice as long to get it to go back up. But great advice. I did exactly that. Made friends with all my professors, went to all the office hours, all the tutoring sessions, and really sat back and figured out why was I so successful in high school and now I'm really struggling. And it was that whole idea of repetition. Okay, so how can I create this repetition with the resources that I have available? Something I continue to practice to this day.
Exactly. So it sounds like there you benefited from reflecting and
Mhm.
adapting. And I think a lot of students, when you're stressed out or you're mentally struggling from the rigor of the program anyway, you lose those executive functioning skills to even think these things out. So I use some terms. This is what I do in my everyday clinical practice, but I'm my mind is so unlocked. So I'm like, this is what my students are struggling with. So it has allowed me to help them even more. So yeah.
And then, real quick, you mentioned the structure of PA school, how intense it is within that first year, particularly. Any suggestions you would have about changing the curriculum?
Hi, I'm Alicia from the Melanin Initiative podcast. Our mission is twofold. One, to simplify complex health information so you feel empowered to ask questions, educated on how to manage your health, and confident to navigate the healthcare system. And two, to elevate the expertise of nurses, spotlight the diverse career opportunities within the healthcare industry, and inform our peers how to leverage their expertise as clinicians and entrepreneurs. In less than 2 years, we've grown to over 50,000 views and 1,000 downloads, with an international audience spanning the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, and more. Our engaged listeners are professionals, entrepreneurs aged 25 to 44 who value authentic, impactful content. Want to connect with this dynamic audience? Advertise with us. Send in your 1-minute video ad and let's amplify your brand. Email tmi.melanin@gmail.com for rates and details. Let's work together.
About changing, like what I want to see change in the PA curriculum.
If you think anything needs to be changed when it comes to that, is 1 year enough?
I would say 1 year isn't enough because, to be honest, and I think any healthcare provider could attest to this, is it doesn't matter. I feel like it wouldn't matter how much education you have because it's totally different when you practice. And how well you are a provider is based on just your ability to connect with patients. Yes, know your stuff, right? Know your medicine and your pathophys, but I think a lot of it is on the job. Like, you'll kind of get it on the job. But I wouldn't, only thing I would hope that most PA programs, I don't think no one should go online. I don't think PA school online is something that resonates with me, just knowing how difficult getting the information in general could be. And then what I did appreciate about my program is we did all classes were on the same unit. And I guess for my brain, it helped kind of keep things connected and intertwined. Whereas I do know other programs, if you could be studying cardio farm, but pulmonology and clinical medicine, and I feel like that would be a disconnect for me.
Yeah, it can. Thank you for your insight. So, speaking of what you do during the daytime, as someone who's worked in family medicine, urgent care, and psychiatry, how have these roles shaped your perspective as a PA?
Yes, yes. So I actually think I have a quite unique perspective now that I could say that I've worked in a very underserved area, my hometown. It was actually the office where I was a patient. So my first job, I was so proud to start there because that's where healthcare started for me. And I was working with the NP who gave me my first shadowing position. So it was just all around full circle. Even my supervising physician was my doctor. So growing up, so it was just like perfect. But it opened my eyes a lot to why we have the healthcare disparities that we have. Unfortunately, I felt like the true treatment for a lot of these things, I knew the area lacked, right? I can't tell someone to, oh, just work out start working out 30 minutes a day when they work a factory job that requires them to work 6 days a week, or choose better food options, right? It's not that simple when you live in a food desert. So even down to, I had to check my biases, even down to like, did you pick up your prescription? Jasmine, that prescription was $20. And when you hear those things, you can forget that these are common struggles that people face, and you may forget that because it's not your struggle anymore. But that's what let me know, like, this is you can hear it, right? We hear systemic barriers, but to actually see it was very frustrating. And then to transition to, I work in a very, 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 very affluent area. In fact, it's a private company that don't even accept Medicaid, Medicare. So most of these patients are working professionals. I'm seeing C-suite, business professionals, professors, scientists, and then professional students. So think med, law, even PhD seeking students. So that, and then children, of course. So that certain patient population opened my eyes to a lot in how these people are extremely healthy outside of probably dealing with the stress and management of their current careers or academic position. But to see how healthy they're able to live compared to the patients populations that I used to work with showed me why there's a stark difference in the longevity and quality of your life being based on literally on your zip code.
Yeah, the social determinants of health. So you brought up a couple of vocabulary words I just want to talk to our audience about. You're our third PA on the show, but you mentioned some things that we haven't talked about yet. So you mentioned supervising physician. Can you just tell the audience what that means?
Yes. Sorry about that. So yeah, supervising physician. So PAs are required to have an agreement with a supervising physician. That relationship can vary. I've never had a role where I work directly with my supervising physician face to face. However, they are available anytime we need to meet, anytime I have a question. And then conversely, I have some other PA colleagues who will work with their supervising physician. They will go see the patient first, and then the doctor will come in and see the patient. Is that a good use of money to me? I don't know, but there can be, it can be arranged from being completely autonomous to an arrangement like that.
Yeah, and in the NP world, we see a little bit similar. So we have some states where you can be completely independent, have full practice authority, and as a body, that is a primary mission that we're all pushing for because it gives access to the patient too, right?
Yes.
That's the main reason. There's restricted practice, and then there's like 3 of them. But anyway, when you're in school and you hear that, and of course your teachers are saying, "Oh, we need full practice authority," you can think it's a bad thing to have we call them collaborating physicians. I notice all my PA friends call it supervising. Just a small little detail, but I have noticed that. And so, like you, depending on your practice, they might be right up the hallway, right? And you see them every day. Or maybe you never see them.
Never see them, yeah.
And, they might review a couple charts. And so the idea is like, oh, if you're a new provider, they might review 20 charts. Whereas if you're experienced, they might only review 2 charts. In my experience, it's been like 4 charts. They send me a couple sentences through the email. And that's our relationship. That's the collaboration. But they do get pay for that, right? They get paid to lend their knowledge. And, to be honest, it's not that bad as I thought it was going to be, especially as a new provider. It's nice to be able to consult someone who does have years and decades of experience. So it's not all around bad. And then I've heard some NPs who, like, maybe they're not allowed to prescribe narcotics. They like that because that's one less conversation they have to deny a patient. Oh, unfortunately, I can't write this script for you. Because sometimes if you're not a pain specialist, that can be a really challenging visit because you can't give the people what they're asking. Mm-hmm. And so when you're not allowed to do it, it makes it, that's just one less conversation.
The pressure's off me. Yeah, yes. Working in my first place, I could see how that would have been lovely to fall on.
So thank you for sharing your perspective. And certainly that could be a whole show by itself. So let's get into the pack. So I don't want to go too far without shouting out. Did you already give the 2 names of your co-founders?
Yes, I have to. Let me tell you, these women, I tell them all the time, we are married forever, okay? Like forever. But Minerva Lobe and Samora Lungu are the 2 co-founders as well. They're PACs. They both graduated a year. No, Samora graduated a year before me, and Minerva graduated the same year as me. Started off with Samora and I really collaborating. She took a lot of the work on making this a nonprofit. So doing a lot of behind the scenes paperwork, all that jazz. And Minerva works really, really closely with the PA programs that we partner with.
Wonderful. And we love this collaboration. And so you started it as a personal support system, but it's grown into one of the largest platforms. And so what has been the strategy in terms of marketing and getting people to find out who you are? Because you moved from a website, GroupMe, right, to a full-fledged nonprofit. What's that transition look like?
Oh, the transition was rough because it was around the time that I was graduating. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I was a COVID graduate. So it was a time where everything was up in the air. I was pulled from my rotations and all that. So right when we planned on expanding, all of this had happened, and Samora really came through and took ahead of that because she had graduated already, was already practicing. So that allowed me to focus on what I need to focus on to be done. So I would say a good strategy is having great members, a great team who has the same amount of buy-in as you, right? Who wants to see the success of the business as bad as you do. So that's the first thing. But I think what makes the pack unique is our boots to the ground approach. A lot of my members know me personally. I know them personally. I try to at least have 20 to 30 minutes of conversation with them whenever we do meet, just so I can get to know who they are for that time being, and go from there. And I think people really like that part of the pack. Like they feel like it's family. And I said I would bringing up neuroscience and psychology concepts, but it's human nature to want connection, right? We find the people can deny it, but we look for it in a lot of ways. So to find a family, so to say, or ways to connect with people, not only in the healthcare field where you're underrepresented, but in the healthcare field that you feel is difficult is to navigate. And then you have these people supporting you. There's no experience that no one else hasn't experienced yet. So you have all these pathways that have been walked already, and these paths that someone can hold your hands on. I think that's what really comforts a lot of people.
Oh, that's so well put. I was actually just having a conversation with my love bug about, I'm new to Houston and there's a church I want to join. And he was just really curious on why I would join a church or why anyone joins, right? And the way you just explained it is I'm going to borrow that.
Yeah, just play
So
the
beautiful. Yeah, just being able to have someone hold your hand who's already walked your path. You can't Google that.
Yeah, no, you can't. And one thing that I've learned, like I said, my clinical work and the pack work is just crossing paths. My appointments in my clinical job in psychiatry are 20 minutes, but I can't tell you how many patients try to use all that 20 minutes just to talk because people don't have those opportunities anymore to even be heard. So I see that in my students. I can't tell you how many sessions consults have turned into therapy sessions because they're like, finally somebody is listening and I feel understood and heard. But yeah, it's that connection. It's that face-to-face connection. I'm sure the pack could be a tad bit bigger and more efficient if we had somebody working on the business and for the business. But I don't think that front-facing aspect of it I could ever let go because, like I said, I love connecting with the people.
So let's talk about the people. How many members do you have?
Yeah, so our Mighty Networks membership, that is our paid. We do have a paid tier that has 163 members. So they're monthly subscribers who can access. We do exclusive events for them. Anytime there's a free event offered, we do try to offer like a prize or maybe a CASPA scholarship for the members who do attend, just to kind of make it more incentivized for them as well. They can take advantage of, they have different office hours and access to us versus non-community members. But on the free side of things, we have over 10,000 followers on Instagram. We have like 8,000 members on Facebook. And then in the group me, I don't even know how, because there's a limit of 1,000, but we're way over that. I think they just let us start bypassing the number. So yeah, those are all our free platforms, and then the Mighty Networks community can kind of get access to a little bit more. We do a lot of research to find conferences, virtual resources, and kind of also offer that to them too. So that's what members are paying for, is just that work that we do for them.
And you said CASPA?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So CASPA is the application, the application portal, so to speak, for PAs, students who are applying to PA programs. Almost every school, I would say 98% of programs are on CASPA cycle, and it's you'll submit one central application, but then do multiple ones at other programs that you choose and that you're eligible for.
And I've been in so many different programs. I can't remember if we have that in nursing or not. I feel like I've used one of those sometime in my life. I just don't remember what it was for.
I don't see how you would, unless you have to. Do you have to apply directly to MP programs?
Now for MP school, yes, but I can't remember if the nursing level, if it was like that. And at one point I was trying to go into dental school, and I can't remember if it was then for that.
Yes, dental school will have that. They have that.
Yeah, but it's very helpful in terms of being, first of all, time, right? And then cost. So that's great that you offer that benefit.
Yeah. So, yep. So cost is definitely something that we want to always keep down for our students. So any, way that we can lower something associated with you applying, that's near and dear to our heart. I mentioned earlier how I applied to 4 programs, and that was strictly because of cost. And I got into one program because I had to decline 2 interviews because they were requiring me to travel. I had no idea how much money went into applying to PA schools. So that, not being prepared for that or not having the money could decrease your chances just off that alone. So we always want to find ways to create more opportunities for these students.
And you're doing it. We have a series called Becoming a Physician with Clarence Sands. He's a second-year medical student right now at Charles Drew University, another HBCU. And he shared that he spent something like $20,000 to $30,000 just on applying to med school.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm sure that number is going to probably double for residency.
Applying.
I had no idea. And, I think being a physician is going to always be like the prestige of prestige. And it really goes because of the amount of the time that goes into getting that role. I couldn't imagine. Just knowing my time in PA school, I couldn't imagine. So my hats are always off to anyone who is going through any healthcare journey, for sure, but definitely that one.
You talk about membership or tiers in terms of participation. So there sounds like there's a monthly membership, a monthly subscription,
Mm-hmm.
and you can access real, like, kind of inner circle. There's the free tier. Is there anything else?
Nope. So it's just a free tier. So you'll have access to all of our events. You may not be able to utilize any of the perks that we offer, but anything we post on Instagram, GroupMe, or Facebook, our free game. We also host annual events. Our last event was in Nashville, where we had about 11 PA programs table, and 110 people attended. I was so proud of that. People drove from Detroit. They drove from Nebraska, Colorado, just to attend this event, and it was such a huge success. And I'm excited to be in San Diego this year.
They drove from Colorado?
Yes, they drew. This is how bad these students, and you know what I do? When I always make them put the location they're coming from, and I put it on their name tag so these programs can see the students who are hungry. These students are hungry. So.
And so you mentioned in our previous conversation that usually you'll so there'll be there's like 2 big PA conferences a year, and then each year you all will pick which one you'll have your meeting at, correct?
Yes.
What are those 2 conferences?
So the two conferences is AAPA conference. So AAPA is the association that basically represents the entire PA profession, whereas PAEA is the association that deals with the PA program and the education side of the PA profession. So both are obviously fitting for what we love to do. And yeah, so this year we'll be following PAEA. It'll be in October. I don't have the exact, I think October 11th, but in San Diego. I'm still planning those things out. So my apologies on the limited details, but my intention is to have that out by next month.
Okay. And then at that event, you mentioned a couple times that there'll be PA schools there. So tell us about how you set that relationship up and then what students can expect when they attend.
Yeah, thank you for that. So we love what we call like the programs that get it. And I'll just name drop them because I think they deserve it. Rosalind Franklin University, University of Washington MEDEX, University of Michigan Flint, Ithaca College. Those programs have leadership on their admissions teams that know diversity is necessary in the PA profession, and not only talk the talk, but actually walk the walk in increasing that diversity. Oh, Xavier University, which is another HBCU PA program. There's actually a ton of PA programs that we work with that I would deem as safe for our students. But how we establish further program um, relationships is, well, one, if a program reaches out to us and are interested in seeing what we can offer them, that lets me know that they are thinking about it. That's an active, choice to make to get this help to increase diversity. So right then and there, we'll sometimes consult with them and say, hey, this is why, students may not be applying to this program, whether it's the website, location, the mission statement, there have you. Or sometimes we'll look at their admissions process and say, hey, have you ever considered having a PA of color do some interviews too, so people can see that you have diversity in your cohorts or within the faculty. So we work with programs like that. And then we'll also go based on where we're located. So if we're in San Diego, we'll reach out to all the California schools, any nearby programs that could see some benefit in attending this program. And basically how we market to our applicants or students who may be interested. Well, one, I think I heard a student, I was walking by a student, she didn't know I was behind her. She said, when will you ever see this many Black PAs? So I think because we create such a niche event that everyone wants to be there, because when will it ever happen again? That's really how they feel. But going back to the boots to the ground approach, I personally DM people. I will call them, I would text them. People like that personal touch. People, I think they see me and think I'm not someone they can approach, or that I will respond to their email. May not be right on time, but it's going to happen eventually. And yeah, I think students do appreciate that. People who are looking for that guidance appreciate someone actually sticking out their hand to grab them.
And you pick a unique venue to host the event.
Yes. So we purposely, I choose of locations like bars, but we do have that time thing. But I purposely choose events, locations like that because, one, I want students to see breaking into this profession as doable, right? Um, and I want them, they come very professional. The programs are very professional, but I want to give the message that everything isn't going to be how it looks. And I think that's naturally true for minority people or disadvantaged people or underrepresented professionals, right? We have to have this mask on all the time when we navigate these spaces. And I've always said a part of my issue was I was afraid to take off my mask, and that's what led me to my dismissal. I don't want that for people who are trying to break into this career. So I purposely chose these locations just to kind of take that part off. And so students can come as themselves and see these admissions directors as people as well.
And so the students, they get to, for the student to be able to participate, are they part of the paid tier?
So thank you for that. So if you have a ticket, you can come.
Okay. And they're buying a ticket from you, from the
Yep.
pack.
Yep. They're purchasing a ticket from the pack. If you are a member, you'll probably get a discounted ticket, or I always do something for paid members. If you're a paid member, you'll probably get either a discounted ticket or maybe like a welcome bag or something that, that shows we appreciate um your support. Because I would also like to add that neither of us take any money from what we make. It goes all back into the organization. That's why we're all working full time. But it goes all back into the organization. In fact, we even, give out scholarships each year. 5 PA students are selected to get $1,000 each, and they can put it towards whatever they want. Even that's what we thought about. Like, tuition is a drop in the bucket. Let students have some money so they can pay for some food or gas, or if their car they're having car troubles. So that's how we approach the financial aspect of it too.
Very thoughtful. And so the students come, it sounds like they get dressed up in business attire, they have on their name tag, and then they can just go to tables and talk to the admissions
Yep.
reps. Okay.
Yep. And so the events usually last 4 hours. The first 2 is strictly for the tabling, networking, and then the second half is mix and mingle, more so for the PACs and the PA students, so they can, because they wouldn't really need a program. But I think it's a great way to also segue into education, and of course network with them amongst our own.
Yeah. And so do people get like interviewed on the spot, or what's been the outcome of these events?
So the outcome of these events have been exactly what we wanted. So they cannot apply at the event, or there aren't any like same day interviews or decisions. But what we do like about it is students can share their story. That I believe CASPA, which is the application cycle, or the part of the admissions process, don't capture that well for students of color, right? If you had to work while you were in school, your grades may not be all A's. Or if your grades improve, let's say your junior, senior year, someone may not like connect that to you being a first generation student. And you had to use those first 2 years to get acclimated to college and the pace and things like that. So what this has allowed a lot of programs to do is, when they do get that student's application and they indicated that they met at this event, they'll look at their application from the lens of who they met versus the application they're reading. And I think that has led to a lot of people getting accepted into PA school.
That's a beautiful testimony. And so how can we support you, both financially, but also maybe are you trying to add more schools to that roster?
So the roster that we have, it's not like these are our set programs. This is who we can always depend on. We're always looking for programs to work with. Donations are always helpful. Our biggest area of need will always be mentorship, right? Like, obviously, I can't meet with everyone. And I wish I could. And sometimes that means mentees sometimes get a spread thin mentor. Having more people to buy in of the overall picture of increasing more diverse healthcare professionals, that would be amazing. Donations will help with the scholarships and just the events, but in terms of our day-to-day need would definitely be that time and mentorship. And I understand everyone, mentorship isn't everyone's wheelhouse. But maybe if literacy skills are your thing, or maybe even offering to write a letter recommendation, like those are small things that can go a long way.
I'm glad you gave some like tangible examples, because if you've gotten a mentorship, you can take for granted, like I did, that everyone knows what that looks like. Now we know our students, we already know they don't know, so we explain it. But there's some of our peers who haven't done it, and until someone came in a forum one time, was like, "What does that involve?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that there were some people out here who didn't know what the role of the mentor should be. And so I wrote an ebook. It's for nurses because that's my target, but anyone can use it. And it's a guide for nurses and nurse practitioners. And I put the needs of each level of education, the bachelor student, the graduate student, the master's level, and the doctoral level, because even they don't know what their needs are yet because they haven't faced them. And so this helps both the student get prepared for what those needs are and the mentor on how they can support them. It's not just for students, it goes beyond that. But I recognize that even mentors don't know. So you gave some tangible examples. And then what would be, so someone's listening, they work full time, and they're just like, well, I just don't know how much time is actually required. So what would be like an idea, kind of like an average estimate if someone's like, I think I want to join, but I just need to kind of know what that's going to look like on my calendar?
So I would say if this is somebody who's a professional, they would appreciate this analogy. I would say it's just like a collaborating or supervising physician agreement, right? If you know you can only give 1 hour a month to mentoring this student, um, then that's what it is, and you have to you sit in that confidence that you are making a difference in that way until you so okay, let me back up. I get so invigorated when students succeed and they attribute some of that to me. It's like I get to relive success over and over and over again. I tell people all the time, if you mentor, I'm telling you, it's going to make the work that you do so worth it, because just hearing that excitement of everything, I just get to relive it every time. And I think that fills my cup and gives me the energy that I need. So I would say start small if you are concerned on how that looks. But in terms of that analogy that I mentioned earlier, um, discuss it with the mentee, right? My mentees, I tell every mentee who texts me, like, listen, I'm not the best at texting. I do not take offense to you double texting or exclamating a text message that you think I really need to get back to. And that would indicate to me, like, okay, Jasmine, like you forgot to, like, I'm not responding because I don't want to, I promise, but it's sometimes it's a lot. So I say keeping a clear, open line of communication, set some expectations. I even wrote some tips on how to be a good mentee. Make it easier for your mentor. If they tell you to go do some things and then you go do them and you don't follow up or follow through, or something happens and you don't tell them, and then 6 months later we're in the same position, I haven't heard from you, it'll be really hard for me to help you there.
Yeah.
So I would say to people considering mentorship, start small, start with one, and see how that goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and every mentee has different needs, right? I mentor a lot, and some people need a lot of support, and some people don't. And as they go through their journey, sometimes it changes too, just like mental health, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll have to just navigate that. And yeah, I love that you brought attention to that article that you wrote in the AAPA. We'll link that below on your 5 tips for how to cultivate that mentor-mentee relationship. As we close out, do you want to share 2 tips? This way they have to click on the article to see the other 3.
Oh, sure. Okay. The first tip, let me pull it up. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And while you're pulling that up, since I mentioned my ebook, it is down in the description box in the Mahogany Dermatology shop for anyone interested. And if you're really serious about getting into mentorship and you really do have some questions, I'm happy to hop on a call and share my experience doing that. Because there's so many ways, and really what I believe in is active mentorship, coming with a goal, something they can work towards. I don't believe in just sitting at a table with a cold cup of coffee and you picking my brain, right? Let's work towards something that you can walk away with.
Yeah. Okay, so I found the 2 tips that I want to share. The first one is take initiative and be proactive. Mentors have busy schedules, so it's important, like I mentioned, to establish that relationship early on. Reach out and ask them, like, what's their favorite form of communication? Do you like to text? Do you like voice notes? Do you like FaceTime? Do you want me to reach out before 5 p.m., after 5 p.m., not on weekends? Establish all of that so you can be as, I would say, more convenient as possible, if that's fitting. And then my second one would be maintain a professional online presence, right? You are entering the healthcare space and you know you are looking for a network to build on. Start with that LinkedIn, right? Go get a professional photo taken, beef up your resume, put all your experiences on there, and LinkedIn will start suggesting people to you that you can connect with, and build your network from there. Share accomplishments, engage with the people you have your eye on, potentially asking for you to be asking them to be your mentor. So be strategic with that, and that goes along with being proactive, cleaning up your online presence. If Instagram, if you are someone who grew up on your Instagram or your Facebook page, maybe cleaning up a few of those things as you enter and embark on this journey would be advisable as well.
Wise advice. I couldn't agree more, because especially if you want a mentor who's a healthcare provider, as Jasmine said, they're busy. And so she gave you priceless advice on how to interact with them. In my ebook, I teach you everything that she just said, because before you message them, they're going to Google you. So you want to have control over what they're going to find when they Google.
Exactly.
You need to have ownership of your digital presence. And what she said is exactly the advice I give in that book and every day that I talk about it. So how can we connect with you, Jasmine?
Well, I am on LinkedIn, Jasmine Cofield, Jasmine, Cof as in Frank, Ield. It would make me so happy for me to connect with you all on Instagram at the pack. It's THEPA.C. And then if you are interested in joining the GroupMe or the Facebook group as well, which I do like to mention, I do keep that strictly to people of color. So that is a requirement that you have to join either of those two groups, just because of the intimate format. But if you are interested and want to see what we're about, follow our Instagram, DM me. I'll probably be the one responding, and I will get you connected to those other platforms.
And I will say, since we talked about the mentorship, and maybe there's someone who's like, oh, if someone only has 1 hour, that's not enough for me. But you know what our advice is? You should always have more than one mentor, right? And shout out to Dr. Danielle McCamey, founder of DMPs of Color. She has a very similar story to you.
Yes.
She was the only one, and so she created a community. She believes, I think she says 3 is the magic number, and that they should be in different industries. So just because one person can't give you all you need, which really no one can do that, even in your personal relationships, you will get more from your personal relationships when you don't expect one person to give you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be happier to be with you too.
I actually want to add to that too. And when we're talking about mentors, sometimes it doesn't have to be like the person in the next level as you. Sometimes the person right where you are. First of all, applying students keep me active, like they keep me in the know and up to date. I've had job opportunities presented to me from students that I mentored. So don't think that someone, because they're in the role that you want to be in or have the career that you want, but other people can also be beneficial, especially the ones who are in the trenches with you. That's what I call it.
Great advice. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you both on and offline, gentlemen. I don't think we shouted out Flint. Did we ever shout out Flint?
Oh, yes. Let me shout out Flint, Michigan. I always say, don't ask the question. No, I'm just kidding. But, Flint, Michigan is a unique city that I enjoy saying that I come from, because I know that I just create so many racing thoughts for people when I say that. But it made me who I am today. I won't deny it's a rough and tough city, but I think it gave me that heart that is required to do the work that we do.
Well, we'd be happy to welcome you to the DMV at any time if you ever decide to let your wings fly.
Oh, yes.
We thank you so much for sharing your time, not only your time with us here on the show, but you and your co-founders, the time that you've put in to create a platform for people so that they can live out their dreams, increase access to care, increase a diverse workforce. And you hit on the real thing, that mentorship, that relationship, because we're social beings and we seek out social interactions.
Absolutely.
We'll have all your information below. All the resources we brought up will be down there so people can follow you, support you guys. And the invitation is there for your co-founders to come on at any time.
Yes.
So there it is. Remember, everyone, you can email us your questions and show ideas to tmi.melanin@gmail.com. If you haven't already, there's still time to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and leave a few comments. Show the algorithm that this information is important so that when people like you look for topics like this, we'll show up higher in the search results. At the time of this recording, we release new videos every Sunday at noon Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then we drop the audio at 5 a.m. so that our night shift friends can be the first to get something and not the last. And maybe one day someone will play it during huddle and tell us about it. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.